So like I said, it's an impromptu dumb bleep of the week. And we've got, I have no idea how many things. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 things, but probably 6.
Part 1.
For part 1, yeah.
God.
Because we can do another 6 or 7 tomorrow. You know how many things I have to cut out every week for Dumb Bleep of the Week?
It's going to be an hour and a half.
And by the way, I just realized like 2 seconds ago when I came in and said it's an impromptu Dumb Bleep of the Week, that for whatever reason, this board was not recording for the beginning. So the answer is the intro's dead. You don't even need it. We're just going straight into the episode.
Here we go.
Yeah, here we go. Dumb Bleep of the Week, super impromptu part 1. And I think we're going to start with some No Kings protest stuff. Now, I mentioned this one earlier. There's so many things we could bring up from the No Kings protest, but you guys all get the idea. It was one of the Dumb Bleeps last week, was the No Kings thing. As you guys know, the people on the left or whoever's out there protesting, it's not that they don't want any kings. They just want their king or queen or Zer or whatever it is that they want to call them.
In fact, some of the countries that were protesting, they have actual kings.
They do.
In their country. So that was interesting.
Some of them like kind of change the name of the protest because you wouldn't want to be seen as potentially protesting your king at a No Kings protest.
Yeah.
That's the thing. But Elizabeth Warren, it just really, I don't know, it really struck me the wrong way. This fake Pocahontas Native American Elizabeth Warren, Warden Warren as we used to call her, or Chief Warren. This is a video, which by the way did turn out to be a real video. And there have been news stories written about how Community Notes and Grok and all that got it wrong. Eventually, essentially, there were so many people on X saying that it was fake that Grok and due to the Community Notes that thought it was fake because Grok uses posts on X to verify truths. And so that's essentially what happened. It did turn out to be a real video.
It's a good name. It's a Community Note.
It is.
The community can get it wrong.
Yes, they can, for sure. So there's the video right here. It says, aerial view of the nationwide anti-Trump No Kings protest in Boston. Elizabeth Warren says, Boston has been defying kings since we threw the tea into the harbor in 1773. And when people like this invoke the revolution, invoke the Revolutionary War, it really hits something different for me. I'm sure it does for you guys as well, especially for a person like Elizabeth Warren, who would have jailed people for trying to buy tea that did not have the proper stamps or taxes applied to it, and where the regulations were not carried through properly on this tea. She wants to use like the federal bureaucracy, which is made up of a bunch of unelected people who write regulations that are enforced like laws over your life. Where like if you violate, they'll take you to administrative courts, not even like real courts, in some of these cases. She wants to use that bureaucracy to regulate and control literally every part of the economy and every part of everyone's life. So there's not a single thing she does not want to use it.
She's big on the EPA and the FDA and
everything.
All of those
FTC, FCC,
unelected king and queens.
Yes, NLRB, all these things. She wants to use all of them all the time to control every part of the economy that she possibly can, including the businesses and you at all times. And they're unelected people. Did I mention that they're unelected people?
Unlike our president, who was elected.
Who is actually elected.
Also won the popular vote, by the way.
But it's like the crazy thing. We do elect the president.
You could make the argument that Trump has enacted certain king-like decrees or actions that he's taken.
Well, sure.
But it's no different than what, I don't know, the presidents have been doing for the last 100 years.
Yeah, all of them.
Like you could make an argument that, bombing a boat that's quote unquote a drug boat, potentially, we don't know, could have American citizens on it. We don't know that we're just bombing those boats and obliterating them. That might, without a declaration of war from Congress, with no due process, if there's potential American citizens on those boats,
could be an issue. Yeah, it's possible.
You can make an argument that maybe is like a king-like behavior, that I'm just going to go war, and spread the empire. But our presidents have been doing that for like almost 100 years.
Yeah, I mean, that especially when it comes to things like that, like striking people that you deem as dangerous. Now, this one is extra special, and I didn't bring in the Venezuela stuff for today's episode, but as far as the War Powers Act, by the way, which was passed in 1973, I think Trump has until November 3rd to continue doing this. The War Powers Act requires that you notify Congress. That doesn't even mean that it fits in to the War Powers Act, because there needs to be like a dangerous threat, like an emergency, for the president to engage in hostilities, and then you notify Congress that you're engaging in hostilities. Here's why we're doing this. And then you have 60 days before Congress, you have to either stop, or Congress has to come out and give you some kind of authorization, AUMF, or declaration of war. And that, I believe, is the date of November 3rd that he has. So he's making hay while the sun shines right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would qualify as like a king-like behavior. There's other stuff with free speech, stuff like that. But every president has been like this, and that's the annoying part about the No Kings protests, is that they only care because it's Trump. That's the only reason, or it's a right-wing ideology overall that they care about. If it were any left-wing stuff that Trump were doing, or someone else not named Trump were doing, like they don't care about that. They want to use the government to control everything. And Elizabeth Warren is a really good example of that.
Yeah, if they wanted to, like, I don't know, force vaccinations on you or something.
Yeah, that could
no
be
problem.
one. That's not king like that. It's just to try and protect people.
Yeah, of course.
You know, it's a super safe and effective vaccine, Charlie. Come on. Did you see our episode the other day got fully blocked?
I saw that.
Fully blocked. Not even partially blocked. It wasn't demonetized. It was fully blocked.
Did you win the appeal?
I haven't noticed yet. I don't think so. It's so annoying because I saw so many other people cover the same stuff. The Daily Show, Jon Stewart, Bernie Sanders clips, all that. I watched plenty of other people talk about it, and we literally got fully blocked for doing it.
Can't even see the show.
Can't even watch it if you wanted to.
On the YouTubes.
The other dumb thing about this, as we talked about, I believe on Monday, was Democrats Abroad posted out a few notes. We've changed the No Kings theme of other events around the world to No Tyrants, so as not to mix messages in a country with a monarchy. If they would have put king right there, it would have been way funnier. They're also swapping out No Crowns to No Clowns, because they don't want to offend the crown at their No Kings protest that they were having. Okay, that's
Did you see those robbers that stole some crowns and stuff from the
Louvre?
From the Louvre?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Well, they don't like kings.
That's it.
Why would you display these crowns? They thought they were doing the Lord's work.
They were.
Yeah,
of course they were. I want to go on to this other thing here. We'll make fun of some Democrats here for the first few, and then we'll do some Republicans and get out of here. So this Amazon thing, this came out yesterday or the day before. I don't know which one, but there's a New York Times headline here, and it says, Amazon plans to replace more than 500,000 jobs with robots. All right. Now, this is a misleading headline. I'll tell you how pretty soon. Senator Bernie Sanders, he says, big tech oligarchs are coming for your job. All right. Like the first line right there.
Yeah. Because you own your job.
Yeah, you made that job, right? Well, why if it's your job, just take it somewhere else. You just go out to that field over there. Why don't you work from home with your job that you have? Just do that. It's like, no, Amazon put in all of the investment and everything to create that entire thing, and the only reason you have that job is because they set that entire system in place. But whatever. Jeff Bezos will be replacing 600,000 jobs at Amazon with robots. His vision, fully automate operations. Amazon's not alone. That's the direction of every major corporation. AI and robotics must benefit workers, not the top 1%.
Now, how did we get here?
That's a great question.
How did we get to this place where companies want to replace people with robots?
Yeah.
Why would they want to do such a thing?
I think yes, we're going to go down that road for sure. As like a little aside, I think there'll always be a push to do things more efficiently, as long as the cost of getting there makes sense. Like, it's insanely expensive to make all that investment in all of these systems, but at the end of the day, it'll probably save the money in the very long run. So they're always going to slowly move that way.
Has anyone ever watched like How It's Made? You ever seen that show?
Yeah.
How It's Made?
That's crazy.
I mean, these manufacturing companies have all kinds of robots.
Yeah.
Like one of one robot.
It's wild.
They have like robotic ovens. They have robotic mixers. They have robotic walking, which is like a treadmill assembly line. Is someone's not taking the cookie in its dough form and walking it over to the oven. It goes on a conveyor belt. That's a robot.
Yeah.
By the way,
I was literally thinking about this. Yes. I was literally thinking about this morning, like how so many things we have are like custom made, and it's not like they just went to Amazon and bought like, oh, give me that there machine that makes this computer here, and I'm going to buy that machine. It's going to make. No, they had to make those, and they had to make the forms for it and do all that, and then they had to create all new things to make these specific items right here. Like, it's pretty wild when you watch those shows that like this machine was created specifically to pour to touch that little thing right there.
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean,
it's wild.
No one's filling up your soda cans, Like, there's a machine that does that and pressurizes it and all kinds of stuff. You don't have somebody just with a funnel trying to pour in Dr. Pepper. There's a machine that pours exactly 12 ounces. That's a robot.
It's probably like 11.9.
Yeah.
And so how did we get here, though? That's a really good question. And how we got here specifically are people like Bernie Sanders. That's how we got here.
Elizabeth Warren.
And Elizabeth Warren.
And Trump.
A bunch of people. There are many different things, but regulations for sure, the NLRB, the wage laws that there are out there, minimum wage laws, and then, inflation. And there's also unions is one of the biggest things, and Amazon has been fighting unionization at many of their warehouses. And as we always say, we're like, I hope if they vote to unionize, I just hope they close the entire thing and just go build somewhere else. You should not be forced as a business owner to keep people that unionized. Like, you should be able to fire them. Now, you might have to decide, like, is it worth it for me to fire all these people and hire all new people and train them up on this stuff? But that's a consideration that they have to make. As the business owner, you should be able to fire those people if you want to.
Yeah. This is why I want FU money,
Yeah.
It's like if something like this, like if I were whoever's running the company now, not Jeff Bezos, but if like I were the one in charge and that something like that happened, that's what I would do. Yeah. Just close up shop, open up in Tennessee or Florida.
I'm sure they do Texas. The math on it. Like when you make the decision, am I just going to close up shop?
I don't care if I would lose
somewhere?
Some money.
Well, if your investors and the market would care if you were going to lose money.
That's why I wouldn't have a public company.
That's the issue with having a public company.
Yeah.
Is that you got to give those reports and they'll see that you're choosing to lose money. And so what they do over the long run, they're like, well, I guess it makes sense for us to go ahead and keep these people. Would take way too much time and cost more money to go build somewhere else. And so eventually it leads to this.
Yeah, but how do you weigh the cost of what the labor union's going to do to you over the next 50 years?
Well, what you do is you decide that you're going to have robots instead. That's a much more sure thing. This guy, Warren Gunnels, says Jeff Bezos, worth $240 billion, sailed on his $500 million yacht to a $55 million wedding in Venice to give his wife a $5 million ring, and spends $12.7 million on union busting so we can replace workers with robots. His tax rate 1.1%. 5 words: tax billionaires out of existence. You can only possibly get to the 1.1% number if you count like how much stock went up over the last year, and if he didn't sell any of that, you count whatever the increase in his wealth was as unrealized capital gains, but also as income for you, and you weren't taxed on that clearly because you didn't sell it. And then you decide that, well, that means they made $30 billion this year and they only paid this much in taxes, and that's how we get to 1.1%. So it's a fake number.
Yeah.
Ironically, I believe they started calling that the true tax Right? Is what like ProPublica called it or whatever.
I see this as nothing but just jealousy and envy, you know?
Yeah.
Why do you care what he's doing if you're focused on your own life?
Mm-hmm.
How does this actually...
Well, he's holding you down.
How? How is this affecting you?
Because if it weren't for him getting all of that money, it would all be going to you instead. Or like a fair portion of it would be going to you instead, you know? And if he was taxed at a normal rate, not this fake 1.1% number, the government would be able to do a fine job providing things to everyone. And also the other thing is it gets a lot of reposts is the other answer for you. Like a post that's got 21,000 reposts on it and 4 million views. Well, guess what? You can make some money off of that if you want to. Now, this guy doesn't because he's not paying for it. I'm surprised, actually. You got to have that check mark to be someone who's able to make money off your posts. But whatever. He says 5 words, tax billionaires out of existence. And if you tax billionaires out of existence, you're also going to tax out of existence all the things that billionaires create. And so if that is the world that you want, I think you might be a psychopath, possibly, or you're just retarded. One of those two things. Or you're just so blinded by your envy and hatred.
I saw a video the other day of this lady who was so upset about how many billionaires we have now. She went through the history of the last like 100 years. And, 100 years ago, we only had one billionaire, Rockefeller, and then by the 1950s, we had like 14 billionaires, and then in the 80s, we got like 25 billionaires. And then by 2000, we had, 100 and something billionaires. And now in America, like in the United States alone, we have 1,000 billionaires. And she's trying to show this whole disparity. And I'm like, did you forget like the internet was invented?
Yeah.
How many billionaires come from the internet? Quite a few now. In fact, your richest ones are all internet driven, by the way. Did you forget that inflation exists and all this stuff? Like, do you realize like you're not just speaking in like, oh, we have more billionaires than we ever have. Well, what are the other variables? How are these people so simple-minded and dumb?
Well, there's such a simple thing you could do, which is like, hey, would you rather go live in the year 1905 or would you rather live in the year 2025? Which one would you want to live in? And the answer is because of all of the things most of these billionaires have gotten rich by creating businesses that provide us all with things that we deem very valuable. If we didn't deem them valuable, they probably wouldn't be billionaires. And so that's how they've gotten so rich, and we've gotten more and more of those things over time. And also there's way more funny money floating around out there for people to become billionaires. And most of that billionaire number is Fugazi anyway, Like it's
a stock portfolio.
Like if someone comes in and they decide to give you $100 million for your business and you decide to give them 10% of the business and they just gave you $100 million and they're like, okay, well, you're worth $1 billion now. Look at that. $100 million. That we decided that represents 10% of your business. I know you only have $100 million right here, but you're a billionaire. You guys see how that's like a lot of the people who are billionaires.
And now there's 1,001. That lady's even more upset.
Yeah.
Plus it was 1905. She doesn't want to go back to that time period.
No, definitely not. She wants to go back at least to 1921, I think, something like that. Okay. The other thing is this story is extremely misleading. You might think from the headlines that they are firing 600,000 people, which would be about half of their workforce-ish. It just says that they are going to be moving into more and more robotics, and jobs that may have been filled by people in the future they probably won't need to hire those people. They'll be still sticking with the people that they have right now. So they're not replacing 600,000 of those people with robots. Instead of hiring the projected 600,000 new people that they would need to hire like in the next 10 years, they're saying that they're going to be able to use a lot of robots instead. And so it's a slightly different story, in my opinion, than how it was portrayed on the internet. And by the way, no one has a right to those jobs being created by Amazon.
I remember the first time I did a software conversion for a hospital. It was in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. And I was assigned to the lab. And I was like, oh, God, the lab? Why am I being assigned to the lab? And then I got down there, and I had never seen anything like it in my life. This particular hospital, it's lab, by the way, which took up like 3 floors of the hospital. And the reason for that is because not only did this lab service the hospital, it also serviced like the entire surrounding area. It was like the number 1 lab in all of Wilkes-Barre, Scranton. I'm sure Michael's blood was there at some point.
Yeah.
And when I got in there and they were kind of giving me a walkthrough, they had this massive robotics machine that handled almost all of their testing and samples. It was incredible. It's absolutely incredible. All you had to do was label the vial, and you would put it through this machine. It would read the label. Then it would go in and get the orders from the physician on what tests they wanted to run. It would send it down these different chutes based on what needed to happen. And it would run all of these complicated tests. The robot would do like the whole thing, and it was a specially built machine. They had technicians there. Part of it was down and they were working on it or whatever. So it had all of this computer programming and all of this stuff that was happening. And then you had a few lab technicians that were doing like super specialized tests that the robot couldn't do. And my mind was blown because my expectations of coming to a lab was just like, there's people like running these little hemoglobin tests or whatever. Yeah. No, mind blown at how it can just read the label, read the orders from the EMR, know exactly what it needs to do. It was one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my life. And we need more of that.
And look at how many jobs were destroyed in that process. And that's what you should have been thinking about that entire time.
No, they were able to service even more people because they were able to process lab testing much faster than anyone else in the area. And that's what happens with, so most of you, when you go to the doctor, probably get a bill from like LabCorp. So that's a similar type of business. LabCorp is a massive lab that's all mostly robotics. By the way, they make fewer mistakes than humans because they can be programmed with a computer that do the same repetitive tasks over and over and over again. You don't have to worry about being sleep deprived or anything like that. You got to worry about like losing power and things like that. There's some maintenance, but for the most part, they make far fewer mistakes than humans do. And it was really cool. And that's kind of what happens with innovation. And by the way, that allows more industries to open up. People keep forgetting we have this brand new industry called AI. We're about to have another brand new industry called quantum computing. There's going to be, and then what's going to be 50 years from now? Who knows? Maybe we're going back and forth to Mars. There's going to be more industries created. We're going to be mining asteroids. We're going to be building planets. Who knows? There's so many industries that are going to, we can take care of all of this manual, minuscule stuff with robotics and AI. And by the way, there's going to be plenty of AI jobs open up. There's going to be plenty of quantum computing jobs open up.
There's going to be plenty of new jobs that people that you can't even think to name.
You have no idea.
Right now. You can't, we'll talk about people are going to need to work on the robot no, there's going to be so many jobs that people are not smart enough to envision right now. As long as we live in a country with an economy that is free enough to create those jobs, some of them aren't going to be created because of all the regulations and taxes on the economy. But when people are asked, what's going to happen when AI destroys all these jobs? As long as we live in an economy that's free enough to create new things, you can't name the new thing or you would go create it and you become a billionaire. But someone's going to do that. And there's a very few amount of people who can do that, roughly 1,000 of them. Okay.
Yeah.
Out of the whole country. And so,
or somebody that gets that one of those thousands to invest.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because their idea is so cool.
Okay, we got to move on. That was number 2.
Oh, God.
Just going to call it Amazon. Yeah, we got to go.
All right.
We have to leave. Actually, I'm just going to go right now. All right.
That's it.
Here's the next thing. This is a situation around this guy named Graham Platner who is running for Senate up in Maine. And the controversy with Graham Platner was that it came out through opposition research that this Democrat running for Senate in the primary, there was a primary going on.
Appears to be a libertarian.
No,
Taking his shirt off during interviews.
had his shirt off. Well, he took that off to show off his new tattoo.
No, I know. I'm making a joke about how libertarians get naked at their conventions.
Let me see if I can get to whatever the actual.
He's a Nazi, basically.
He's a Nazi because he apparently has a Nazi tattoo. Now, this is next to Pete Hegseth, who all the people on the left were freaking out about this tattoo that he has on his chest. Turned out to not be a Nazi tattoo. Surprise, surprise. The one that Graham Platner has, as far as like things that are Nazi tattoos goes, it's a Nazi tattoo. I'm not big on doing this whole thing because I don't think that you can take like every single thing that Nazis wore on their uniforms or whatever random, like a swastika. I'm like, okay, well, that's a historical symbol regardless, but I'm not going to go putting a swastika somewhere because I think it looks cool or something like that. Well, let's just assume the swastika's dead, even though, you know, the pre-existing symbol anyway. So anyhow, I'm not real big on like calling out these things, be like, Nazis wore that, so therefore you're a Nazi. But apparently,
what kind of dog do you have, Nate?
A German Shepherd.
Oh God, I knew it.
German Shepherd.
You Asian Nazi.
Apparently, this tattoo is something that is still, the symbol is something that is still used by actual neo-Nazis and white supremacists and stuff, because it is something that was worn by SS soldiers during that whole Nazi problem that occurred.
Oh, Graham.
You know.
Now the thing is, he's running as a Democrat, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Now it's a weird situation. Overall, I think the situation is really, really dumb. Just overall, he was in the Marines. Okay, and he tells a story that him and his buddies, they got off the boat in what do you say, Croatia, maybe something like that. And they went out, got drunk, decided they were all going to go get some mean-looking tattoos. So they go to a tattoo parlor in, I think, Croatia, pretty sure. And they get a tattoo that probably looks like something that Marines would see up on the wall in a tattoo parlor. Oh, look at that skull and crossbones.
Yeah.
Let's all get this tattoo to commemorate all the innocent people we've killed. And just kidding, Marines and veterans out there. Okay, it's a libertarian podcast. Just kidding around, all right? we support your service and stuff. So they go and get this tattoo. I don't blame him for like not knowing that it could have been worn by Nazi soldiers during World War II.
I mean, we use like skull and crossbones for like, I don't know, Halloween coming up next week.
Yeah. Just there's like
my neighborhood is full of skeletons.
It's a specific one. So let's go to our best source of what is Nazism, the ADL. And so we'll go to them. Totenkopf. That's what that's called. German for death's head. Or skull, and typically refers to skull and crossbones image. Hitler's Schutzstaffel. So Hitler's Schutzstaffel adopted one particular Totenkopf image as a symbol. It became a symbol of SS. I'm not going to even make a joke out of trying to say that word. Whose purpose was to guard the concentration camps. Okay, so that's what the guy had tattooed on his chest. Now, from what it looks like, the other Democrat he's running against.
This guy's got blonde hair, blue eyes.
Yeah.
He's infiltrating.
The Democrat, the guy's running against in some opposition research, found a video of him singing at a wedding with his shirt off. And turns out, this guy's a Nazi. Now, there's dumb on both sides. And I don't know if people are going to agree with me on this thing. But there's people on the right, like your big right-wing influencers coming out and being like, Nazi, running as a Democrat. See?
Democrats have no shame.
Democrat Nazis, of course. There's a massive Nazism problem in the Democrats. I'm like, last week we had these like text messages that were released by people in these Young Republicans thing where I was like, oh, people literally saying that they love Hitler and stuff like that, or making gas chamber jokes and stuff like that. We're not going to bow down to these kind of attacks.
They're just kids.
This is ridiculous. But like this guy who was in the Marines and stopped and got a skull and crossbones tattoo and a for sure is a Nazi. We all know that 100%. Now he's had the tattoo for a long time. They're like, well, didn't he know a long time ago? I'm like, does anyone keep like a bank of things Nazis wore in their head?
Right.
When you like see a guy with a thing, you're like, you know what? When I was going through my book of Nazi symbolism that I've been memorizing daily for no reason, I noticed that exact shape of skull with the bones behind it looks to be something that specifically the SS soldiers who guarded the concentration camps, because I read a lot about those guys and looked at what their uniforms had on them. You guys realize like the amount of research.
What does it look like?
A regular ass person would have to. It was on the ADL page.
No, what is on him?
Oh, I was trying to find it. I don't know where the. Well, I had I pulled it up earlier. There's a crappy version of it right here. It's this thing right there.
Really? That's it?
That's the thing, yeah.
That people...
They're upset about it.
So he got it covered up now?
Well, he did not. Another dumb thing about it is he is talking about getting it covered up, but it's a temp. Like he said he got it last night.
Is that a sticker?
Yes, that is like a fake tattoo that he stuck over the top of it. Which is fine. Like what is
that?
So other people have been asking that question, and apparently that one has some weird symbolism associated with it as well.
It's like some kind of demonic art.
My overall like dumb thing with this, it's Democrats and Republicans. Like the right-wing people are being like, Nazi, for sure, Nazi. I'm like, guys, this doesn't work anymore. You remember how calling everyone Nazis doesn't work anymore? Didn't you say that like last week or the week before or the week before that? It doesn't work anymore. And Democrats who are like, he just accidentally got an SS symbol tattooed on his chest. It can happen to anyone. There's like Elon Musk makes a wave at the crowd, big crowd of people out there, and he does this. He does this, to everyone. We'll make this so we can do a screenshot. There we go. And they're like, Nazi, for sure a Nazi. This is fascism. This is what's happening. And this guy who represents some of their policy positions that like the more radical left people are happy with. They're like, oh, no, let him explain it. Let's hear him out on this.
Socialist policies is what he supports.
Much more national socialist policies. And they're down with that. Yeah.
But he's not a Nazi.
And then like there's another layer of that, which is like, of course they're Nazis. They're all freaking Nazis. Call it whatever you want. They're socialists. They want to use the state to control it. Like maybe he doesn't want to nationalize all the businesses, but he definitely wants the government to completely control them. Totally fine with that.
Similar to Trump.
Call it Nazi, call it fascism, call it collectivism, call it whatever. We've been saying this before Trump, during Trump. It's nothing unique to Trump except for the fact that he just says everything out loud and doesn't try to hide anything. Whole situation's dumb. By the way, he's going to win this Democratic primary. That's what it's looking like so far.
Any pub is good pub, they say.
Yeah. Okay. Now we've made fun of some Democrats, a little bit of Republicans. That was number 3. Trump had a message on pricing. And the reason I brought this in as dumb is to do our due diligence and be fair and balanced when we are talking about politics, because something happened while Biden was the president. I don't know if you remember this. Okay. But they used to do this thing where they're like, oh, the prices aren't that bad, or inflation's not that bad, or inflation's coming down, or prices are coming down. And they would essentially lie to people about what the prices of things were. Okay.
And everybody saw right through that.
And the thing, and we said this so many times before the election, you cannot lie to people about what the prices of the things that they're buying on a daily basis or a weekly basis are. They feel it. They see it immediately when they go to pay for those things. There is no reason to ever lie about those things. So they do this thing a lot where they're like, oh, I heard some places gas, he said this so many times. They just told me this morning gas is below $2 a gallon. Somewhere. Where?
Yeah.
How many Kroger points did you have on your card for it to be below $2 a gallon? Now gas has came down a little bit. I got it for $2.47 this morning. It's pretty cheap. We're here in Tennessee. It's not a bad price.
Still $3.50 here in my neighborhood.
Still $3.50.
Just wherever what Nate pays for gas, mine's $1 more.
Yeah. So you can't lie to people about what's happening with prices. That's the thing. And it's not good for Trump to do this. It's good for them to find more ways to try and stop the government from doing anything that they're doing to make things more expensive. But here's this clip from Trump.
Gasoline prices are way down. Grocery prices are way down. Energy prices are way down. Mortgage rates are down. We have a real stiff at the Federal Reserve. I can't help that. But he's going to be leaving soon. And inflation has been defeated. But even though his rates are too high, the economy has been amazing.
Just on the last part, while I'm thinking about it, inflation has been defeated. And he's talking about Jerome Powell again. Mm-hmm. The target rate, which even some Republicans have been making fun of for a long time, is like they aim for 2% inflation. They aim to steal 2% of your money every year, and then they tax your other money, and they do. It's way worse than 2% anyway. But they aim for a destruction of your money of 2% every year. Now, the last inflation reading we got, pull it up, I'm pretty sure it was 3.1. Okay, that is not inflation has been defeated. That is over 50% higher than what the target theft is of your money.
But it's not Biden's 9%.
Yes.
Nate.
So that's something that like all the people online will do, the influencers will do, like, oh, it's so much better compared to, the worst inflation we had in 40 years. Like if you're going to gauge everything off of 9.1% that we hit while Biden was in office, they're like, you really want to live with 3.5%, 4% inflation for the rest of your lives? Wasn't everything hard enough when it was 2.2 or whatever? No, you can't. But it's probably what's going to happen. It's going to have to happen because the government's got to pay its bills somehow. They can't tax enough money to pay for all the things they're doing. So they're going to have to destroy the currency. And that's going to be seen in the inflation rate. And another thing he does that drives me nuts is he goes after the person who's trying to keep the rates up higher, which is like one of the only tools we have to fight inflation, is to keep the rates up higher.
Yep.
This person said grocery prices are way down. Inflation has been defeated. And I just want to let everyone know that they're not. Okay. All items less food and energy is the one that's around 3.1. Okay. So the core inflation is 3.1. The CPI with everything is 2.9. The headline CPI is 2.9. Okay. So when I said 3.1, it's 2.9 if you want to talk about the total one, especially the one with food, because this post especially concerned food. Over the last 12 months, the next reading we get is tomorrow. We'll know the September numbers. But over the last 12 months, food has gone up 3.2%. Food at home, which is groceries, has gone up 2.7%. Food at home, which is groceries, for the last month reading that we got, went up 0.6%. That is the most it's gone up since Trump came into office.
It's down.
And it's down. Inflation's been defeated. We just had
That's because of all those tariffs on the beef and stuff that he's putting on Brazil. And then we're going to bring in Argentina beef.
That will solve the problem.
Yeah.
That's what everyone needs.
Which is America first for our American ranchers.
Mm-hmm. Maybe the American ranchers can start just buying Argentina beef and then selling it to people here in the U.S.
As American
so they'll
beef,
make money. They'll be the middlemen on the Argentinian beef. Mm-hmm. That's the way to do it.
And if American ranchers just knew what was good for them, they would understand that.
Oh, yeah.
But they're looking at their own, books and stuff. And
like a bunch of idiots. They're concerned over whether or not they can keep their businesses going.
Yeah. Instead of just trusting Trump.
Yeah. Don't ask what your country can stop doing to you. Ask what you can do for other countries.
Exactly.
I was actually probably just made that up right then, but I think we need to make that a quote.
Mm-hmm. Amen and a woman.
Meats went up 1.8% over the last year.
Because I like beef and it's expensive.
Beef, uncooked beef steaks, 4.1%.
Pretty sure
has gone up.
My ribeyes I like are now $21.99 a pound.
Yikes. I stopped buying ribeyes long ago.
Ugh.
Long time ago. I had to get out of that's a rich man's game.
Yeah.
I just can't do it.
I can't do it anymore either.
While we're on this, and then we'll just close out with an easy one. So that was number 4, I guess. Number 5 is going to be this. Actually, before we go to number 5, I promise the rest of it's going to be really fast. This is not working according to polls, and you can say polls are right or wrong or whatever. but the same pollsters have been polling the same things for many years. And so you can compare to previous poll results. It's not working. Trump has got the worst economic ratings as far as polls go that he's ever had. And the other thing that they point out is at this point in your presidency, typically when you first come in as president, everyone's so happy, everything's good, making all these great changes, everything like that. And so your approval ratings are higher on these things, okay? But that's not the case for him. He came right in and went underwater quick. Just didn't float, nothing. He just sank immediately. And so at this point in his presidency, he's also got the lowest
60
polling
days
results.
was great.
Yeah. And so I won't play the video for you from Harriet and over at CNN, who's good at presenting these polls. But okay, here is Scott Bessent explaining why tariffs are not a tax. Charlie, I repeat, tariffs are not a tax.
Why are the president's tariffs not taxes on imported goods?
That's easy because tariffs are a surcharge, not a tax. They could be paid by the exporter. They could be paid by the country. When you go and get your driver's license, you pay a fee. Is that a tax?
Yes.
And I just appreciate the answer to it. Thank you.
And if we, I'm giving you an answer that maybe you don't like. The other thing is this case, and
they're literally a tax, just so you know. And there's like a thin line between what a surcharge and a tax is anyway. Like it's just a government calling a tax different things, for legal definitions, essentially. Charlie, when you go to get your driver's license,
let's get rid of taxes and we'll just charge fees.
Yeah. No taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Surcharges.
Yep. That's it.
Fees. Every time you do there is an income surcharge, everyone. That's not a tax, right, MAGA?
Exactly.
Not a tax. And you can change the surcharge amount randomly, whatever you want to do. That's fine.
This is the slippery slope I've been talking about. When we get to a world where you can believe that a man can be a woman, you can just change the definition of anything you want. Tariffs can just be fees. This is paid by the exporter, paid by the importer, by the way, which then you pay for because they're not going to pay. They're just not going to pay the extra fee, tax, whatever you want to call it. You're going to pay for it. It's going to be paid by the country. That basically never happens.
It can a little bit. It's hard to track when that happens, but
Well, yeah. I mean, the country can subsidize.
It depends on how much competition there is for that product. We've talked, if there's a lot of competition for that product, then the country that you're buying from could end up paying some of it. By the way, when he says like they could be paid by the importer, they could be paid by the exporter or by the company or whatever. So first off, it is literally a tax that is charged to the importer. That is who pays it. Now you can get into little arguments over, well, is it coming out of what's getting charged by the company that they're buying from, or is it going to customers? Who's actually paying this tax or this surcharge? But first off, it is literally a tax that is charged to the importing company. And they're just going to make an argument that it's paid by the country that's exporting it. But it's not charged to them. They might decide to lower their prices or whatever, but it's not charged to them. It's charged to the person that's importing the goods when it comes in. It's like when you go pay a sales tax at the grocery store. You're like, well, it's not, you don't pay that. Really? It could be paid by the store itself, or the sales tax could be paid by the companies that are providing the goods to the grocery store. It's like, well, I'm the one who paid it. Well, but there's no way of knowing, did they decrease the price of their products a little bit? Did they take a smaller margin here and there? I paid the tax. Okay. That's what happened.
Came out of your pocket.
Yes. Okay. I just thought that was rather dumb. And this whole lying to people about, if you support Trump doing well and you support him being very popular with the American people and getting his policy, they're going to have to.
This is his last term. He doesn't care.
No, or is it?
He doesn't. Yeah, it is.
It is his last term.
And he doesn't care.
He doesn't, but like, it will be easier for him to do things if he has a lot of popular support behind it overall, you know? And it'd be better for whatever the movement overall or for the future, like for all of his supporters, if they'll think a little bit further into the future than the last day of Trump's term. If they'll think like slightly further than that into the future, it'd be better for them if he's a fairly popular president, at least economically, things like that. And you're not going to get more popular by lying to people about things. It's a tax that you charge to people. Make the argument of why it's a very important tax. Okay? Why do we have to have this? Why is this important for national security? Why is this important for domestic industry? But don't lie to people and tell people this is not a tax, it's a surcharge. That sounds like Obamacare mandate stuff. We're like, oh, it's not a tax. Yeah. So, you know, we're like, oh, no, it's just something the government forces me to pay, you know? But it's not a tax. Definitely not. Or is it a tax? Did they rule it was a tax? I can't remember which way they
Supreme
ruled
Court
it was
ruled
a
it
tax.
wasn't. It wasn't a tax.
I can't remember. It was a fee. Was that right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a surcharge.
Yep. Just like a driver's license. They use the same argument, by the way.
Which, by the way, the thing with the driver's license, you have to have one to go drive on the government roads. Okay? Oh, well, you can physically go drive on the government roads, but if they catch you not having a license, it'll be bad for you, unless you're an illegal immigrant. And so it'll be totally, really bad for you. And so they require you to have this thing, and you got to pay them to get the thing. Okay? Now, regardless, when they're forcing you to have a thing and then they print it and they provide it to you and stuff like that, even if they didn't charge you, you're still paying for it because they only have money that they took from you in the first place. So regardless, the whole thing does sound like a tax to me.
It's a tax.
If it were a private business or whatever, and you weren't forced to have it, you know, that's a little bit different in my opinion. But okay, last thing, let's get out of here. We don't even have to spend a ton of time on this. Don't worry, because we already talked about it for a lot of time on Monday. And it is the Thomas Massie Trump thing. So you guys know the guy jumped in the race. Ed Galrain. Ed jumped in the race. We do have plenty of dumb posts to give you. And by the way, the Trump is fundraising for Lindsey Graham right now, who Lindsey Graham has said many more terrible things about Trump than even Thomas Massie has. And Trump has said many more terrible things about Lindsey Graham. Some people are saying it has to do with Israel. Some people are saying it has to do with votes. I think it's a good combination of both of those things. There's clearly some money and some power behind foreign countries and what they want done, you know, in the military-industrial complex and what they want done. And also, you want to not have to fight people in your own party when you're trying to get your party's legislation passed. And I think that's a really big reason that you wouldn't want a Republican out there talking about how terrible the Republicans' bill is, you know. As you don't want that.
Unless it's Thomas Massie.
Yes. Well, you don't. I'm saying Trump doesn't want that at all. And so Lindsey Graham will typically vote for anything that Trump wants Republicans to vote for, and Massie won't. So the Lindsey Graham thing is super hypocritical. We know that. This was a dumb post that I just saw tons of people responding to. TMK, the MAGA king. Okay. Thomas Massie and Rand Paul are basically the John McCain and Mitt Romney of today. Right now, there's a reason I started with the fact that he's endorsed Lindsey Graham and his campaign fundraising for him.
Yeah.
Are basically the John McCain and Mitt Romney of today, rhinos disguised as principled conservatives who pretend to be above party politics, but in reality are run-of-the-mill, self-interested politicians who divide our side while Democrats move in lockstep to destroy the country. Get a lot of heat for that whole, basically the John McCain and Mitt Romney of today. No, what's weird is John McCain and Mitt Romney were like the party establishment, right?
They were.
Like that is the way that the party voted.
Yeah.
And eventually, like,
in fact, they usurped, Ron Paul.
Yeah.
To get Mitt Romney and John McCain on the ticket.
And then eventually these John McCain, Mitt Romney types were supplanted by the Thomas Massie types who were like anti-party establishment.
They're in the Tea Party movement.
Yeah. What's essentially happens, we've gone back to this establishment Republican Party. It's just a lot looser on whatever the heck its principles are. And but it will do anything that the president wants them to do. That's essentially the principle. Will you do what Trump wants you to do?
Yeah.
I'm very principled when it comes to doing what Trump tells me to do.
Are you loyal to the king?
Yes. Began with kings, end with kings. I like how this rounds out. Very nice. Yeah, just an absolutely insane argument to make. And then there was the thing with the IPAC, which was colluding, working with the Democratic Socialists of America on one specific issue. We know that. But now you just see this all over the place.
Yeah.
That he's a socialist.
But here's what people don't like is that they don't like truth and they don't like integrity because they want their guy to do whatever it is that he wants to do. And they're going to just follow along with that. Like it's not, Trump wants loyalty to him. And Thomas Massie and guys like Thomas Massie and Rand Paul are loyal to one thing and one thing only, and that's constitutional principles. They're loyal to truth and honesty and integrity. Mm-hmm. It's much more virtuous than to be loyal to a person who can make mistakes. Like, now it doesn't mean you can't be loyal to someone, but you should call that someone out when they're making a mistake. That's a best friend. Nate and I have called each other out many times. And probably why we're such good friends on anything that's ever happened. We're not just loyal to each other in the sense of like, you can do whatever you want. It's like, hey man, that would be really stupid. Or if you did that, you'd be like, well, that was real dumb.
Yeah. We don't just support each other in any decision that we make.
Right.
That's
not what loyalty is.
It's not like, oh, I'm your friend, so I support you always in every decision.
Nate, you should do that. No, you should do that extra line of cocaine.
Yeah.
I support that, man.
You just want me to do the first one.
Yeah.
Not the other one.
All of them. I want you to do all of them now. Whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
I support you, man.
There's a lot of arguments on the Massie and the strategy, like Massie doesn't have any strategy and all that. And you got to be willing to take. And what people always say is like, well, he's not willing to take any small wins on things. It's a game of inches. Politics is a game of inches. And Thomas Massie just doesn't understand that. Well, in your football analogy that you're making, essentially, the game of inches, the inches need to be moving in the right direction. Okay. You're not like, let's move a game of inches and it's always towards your own goal line. It's always backwards. That's not what the game of inches is. But in politics, the game of inches is not moving towards a constitutional government or a smaller government or shrinking the deficit or shrinking government spending at all. Like a game of inches would be like, well, I wanted there to be $1 trillion in cuts this year to the federal deficit, and instead there's $100 billion in cuts. Like, I wanted there to be $1 trillion. There needs to be $1 trillion. We can't be having these deficits. I'll take the $100 billion, I guess, because this is a game of inches, and we are going to get to the amount that we need to. A game of inches is not, we need to cut the $2 trillion deficit. So this year, the game of inches is, I will vote to add another $500 billion to it. Some other people want to add $750 billion to it. And these people want to add $500 billion to it. And this is a game of inches. And so I'm going to vote to only add $500 billion to it instead of $750 billion because I am a smart strategery mission. Strategist.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
I think guys like Thomas Massie and Rand Paul understand the game of inches better than these people who are saying they don't. Because they understand it is a game of inches. And what you're advocating for is we're moving backwards in inches and feet, miles perhaps. How can we ever move forward the inches we want to go if we're always going backwards?
Oh, get this though.
In the football analogy, it's like, okay, it's a game of inches. You need an inch for a first down, but the play you call is a flea flicker, a triple flea flicker that causes 3 wide receivers and your quarterback to run backwards 50 yards to complete the flea flicker, get it back in the quarterback's hands for him to throw it 65 yards down the field and then you make a lateral move and you get that inch.
But the problem
is that throw never comes.
No, the problem with that analogy is that let's stick on football here for a minute. Even though flea flicker is incredibly dangerous, the intention of the flea flicker is to move in the right direction. And none of these people even have the intention of moving in the right direction. Their intention is to only move backwards, either by inches or by miles. Either way, it's only backwards. None of them are wanting to move in the right direction. It's like you call a play and they're like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to run backwards 20 yards and lay down.
We'll have a planned fumble snap.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
Hey guys, you know what we're going to do? We're going to throw an interception. Let's throw a pick six. You guys want to do that? Okay, cool, everyone.
Yeah.
And Massie's like, no, I think we should move forward an inch at least. And they're like, you're not a team player.
The rest of the team has decided to throw an interception. We need to get rid of this guy.
well, this has been fun, but it's time to go. This has gone on long enough.
To implement the true freedom and unleash the power of America, we've got to start down, like 1,000 points. Mm-hmm. That way, when we come back, it's going to be the most epic story ever written in sports history.
Yeah. I
know. This team was down 1,000 points with a second left to go in the fourth quarter, and they came back and won.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like, that's the story they're trying to build. They're going to tell you, it's like, trust me. Okay. We need to fight socialism by implementing these socialist policies. We need to fight socialism by taking control, taking equity stakes in companies.
Yeah. National socialism instead.
Yeah.
It's better.
That's how we fight socialism.
All right. We get out of here.
Mom
Donnie. That's a commie.
Zofran Zelda, whatever his name is.
Zelda Muhammad's his official
Zelda
name.
Muhammad. Yeah. That guy.
Yeah.
We got to get rid of him.
All right. Number 1 was No Kings. Number 2 is Amazon. Number 3 is Platner. Number 4 is lying about prices. Number 5 is lying about taxes. Those should have been combined into one single thing. Number 6 is Trump versus Thomas Massie, part 10. And that is the conclusion of Dumb Bleep of the Week.
We actually have a
part
vote.
1.
Someone put the vote in there. So
who's winning so far?
Right now it's the Nazi tattoo.
The Nazi tats?
Mm-hmm. Them Nazis. Overall dumb. So I'm going to vote for
It's like the only Quentin Tarantino movie I like, by the way.
Yeah, Inglourious Basterds.
Yeah. Never been a fan of whatever that
Didn't
style is.
Django too?
Haven't seen it. So maybe that's a good one. I just haven't seen
You
it.
haven't seen Django?
No.
Wow, that's actually really good.
Someone told me they're racist like that movie.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
I think, honestly, it's one of Leo's best performances.
All right. Let's get on out of here. Charlie, play us out. We're suspending.
Looks like part 1, the Nazis are in the lead. We'll see how that matches up to tomorrow's voting. The cool thing about tomorrow, you only have to put in 7 through 12.
Yeah, that's all I got to do.
1 through 6 is already here.
That is nice.
All right, y'all. If you enjoyed it, share it around. Leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Go to godhatesfeds.com or join gmail.com. Be part of the Fed Haters Club. Get yourself some merchandise. Visit the links in the show notes to support the sponsors that support this show. If you do all of that, we'll be back again. Nate will be back again tomorrow to finish part 2 of Dumb Bleep of the Week. Until then, I hope you have a good day and a good morning, Liberty.